On this week's show, the release of the new Peloton Altos cycling shoes.
And we have a new Amy Winehouse artist series. Plus, could Ally Love be the next coach on the tread platform? And much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 65 of Pelo Buddy TV, the show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm Amanda Siegel, and I am joined by my co-host, John Pruitt. Hey, John.
Hello, hello. How are you, Amanda?
I am good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Another good week here in Michigan at the Pruitt household.
Freezing cold.
It's warmer day today. I'm looking, it's 36 and hazy right now. It says on my
oh, really?
The bottom of my computer screen. But yeah, it was earlier in the week. It was definitely bone chilling. What about you? And you're in DC?
Yeah. So no, I'm actually down in Florida. Hence the hence the tank. But I got to tell you, I've been here since the weekend, and I haven't even dipped my feet in the sand yet. It's been chilly. It's been rainy and chilly. So I'm hoping that it's going to turn around. It's kind of, it's in the 70s, so I'm not complaining. But interestingly enough, it's, definitely January, February, I see it dip a little bit more, than it does. But, I do have a tank on, but I don't even have the air on. It's definitely not boiling hot. It's definitely not boiling hot. But yeah, it's always nice to be down here getting my youngest ready to head back for her second semester of her freshman year. Yeah, she's rushing
at Miami, at the U.
Miami at the U. Yeah. She's rushing sorority this week. So it's been quite tense in the Siegel household, to say the least. But
do you know which Peloton instructor is a proud University of Miami alum?
Of course I do, Andy Spear.
Yeah, there you go.
I do. I know my alums. I know, my son was at Syracuse, so I know, clearly Jen. I knew that Jen was a Syracuse grad, but I knew Andy was a U. In fact, I messaged him a couple times about it. So yes. Nice. So that's kind of what we've been doing down here, and as empty nesting settles, we'll definitely, fortunate enough to be down here a little bit more. So I guess you'll get to see this backing for more episodes than normal, as we definitely do tend. My husband's fortunate; he can work from anywhere, and he travels so much. He's not even here, so it's kind of like wherever we can be, which is definitely nice. But yeah, it's been good and busy, and I've been working that platform and getting in as much as I can and putting in these crazy stacks. But it's fun. It's been good. It's been good. I know you may have surpassed me, but I think I'm about to hit. I think I may even hit it today when I take my run out. But I think I'm almost at 2,000 minutes. So I'm quite proud. I'm quite proud of myself. I have to say.
So you can definitely rack up the minutes. See, that's where I lack in app usage, because I don't use the Peloton app enough. A lot of members, more power to them, really take advantage of the content on the app when they're on the go or away from the bike or the tread. So yeah, I definitely don't. I really rack up all my minutes from the bike or the tread.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk about it in my picks of the week, but yeah, I would go crazy otherwise. That I definitely have been taking the runs and walks outside, and it's been great. I do have to say, and I actually have. It's funny how things kind of lined up, but this coming Tuesday, I have an exciting day on the platform. I am going to be celebrating 5 milestones on Tuesday.
Only 5?
And it's I no, but it was like I'm hitting 2,000 rides on Tuesday. So I hope, John, you will join me on Leanne's ride at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning. But yep, 2000s.
So what,
I'm
rides?
excited about that. Yeah, I
what
got
else
2000
you got? Strength,
rides.
walks, runs.
Yeah, I got walks. I got 200
meditation.
walks. I'm going to hit 200 walks, 700 meditations, 50 yoga. I planned it. I have kind of been like stalling a little bit and pushing myself a little bit to get to some of these. But I figured once I knew that, you can kind of see if you look at your, on the
you
app
can line it up
and see where you're at. You line it up, and I figured, hey, this is fun. So it's been fun. It's been fun to kind of plan it out and get to do it. So I'm looking forward to Tuesdays. It should be a fun day. Well, John,
let's see if we go 5 for 5 on the milestone shout outs.
That's going to be the key. That's going to be the key. But you know what? I line them up with all my peeps. So I'd be surprised. Yeah. I'll be surprised if I don't. I'll be disappointed.
They'll take care of you.
I hope they do. But folks, moving right along before we get started with the news, we always like to remind you of how you can keep up to date with all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is released on our YouTube channel, so just hit the subscribe button at the bottom right-hand side of the screen and make sure to hit the notify button so that you never miss an episode.
And you can always listen to us if you are on the go. We're on all podcast platforms. Just search Pelo Buddy TV. Hit subscribe, click notifications so you never miss an episode. And we love to hear from you. So leave us a review if you like the show, if you have suggestions. We appreciate all your feedback. So be sure to hit us up.
Yeah, and I'm going to add that, it's great for you to reach out to John and myself and tell us, that I know so many people reached out last week to say how thrilled they were that we were back on and they got to, either listen to the podcast, but definitely do it on the podcast platform or on the YouTube platform and pop in a review there, because that does really help and it kind of increases our visibility to others. So definitely make sure that sending it to John and I is great, but definitely, making sure you hit Pelo Buddy up. That would be good. And of course, folks, we are on Facebook and Instagram, and just go ahead and search the Pelo Buddy logo and like and follow us on all of those platforms for all of the latest news. And now, John, let's get on with the show.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
All right. So the top story for today, folks, is all about the release of the new Altos Peloton cycling shoes. It's the first time since the bike was released that Peloton are dropping new shoes. And whilst I think that they're quite pricey at $145 US dollars and 185 Canadian dollars, it is definitely nice to have them for purchase. And those folks that are, Peloton diehards and love to have the Peloton logo and stuff, it is nice to get a new pair of shoes out there. I know that tons of folks have gone out and purchased the Nike. What's the name of them, John? The
Super Reps.
Yep, the Nike Super Reps. Yeah. I know I have a pair down here because I hated bringing my shoes back and forth. But my old Peloton shoes are grungy, and I have to say I did cave and buy a pair. Unfortunately, they are. I did. They are being delivered to Maryland, so I won't get to use them for the next couple of weeks. But looking forward to when I get back to switching over and using those. But the description that Peloton had shared is that they were made with a single Velcro strap closure to easily put them on and off, and they were also made of a breathable, jagged mesh and have a sock-like fit. So I am curious to see how they fit, because the old ones were definitely quite, hard in casing. So it'll be interesting to see how those fit. They do obviously come with the Delta cleats and are said to run true to size. It did state, though, that they were suitable for normal and narrow feet. So for all of you out there that have fat feet, look away because apparently they are more suitable for normal and narrow feet. As of now, though, they're only available in the US and Canada, which I know is disappointing for our international friends in the UK, Germany, and Australia. But my thought, John, is that, I think they want to see how they do in in North America before they get distributed everywhere else.
Worldwide,
Yeah. So again, just to clarify, some of the differences between the old standard shoes and the new ones, again, as I said, is that Velcro strap. So certainly those folks that are doing bike boot camps, I think will make it a little bit easier instead of having that buckle that you have to kind of click out and then the strap to take off. That should definitely be easier. And then that mesh sock-like fit. I was hoping we could grab a pair to show on the show today, but whilst the storefronts do have them, they are not for sale. They can only be purchased online. Correct. Yeah. They can only be purchased online, which again is probably a little frustrating for folks. It would be nice to just be able to walk into, a local store and pick them up if you choose to. And truthfully, John, I'm not even sure whether they have different sizes at the store for you to be able to, fit them, or whether they just have, as you said, a display option for them. They did come in the Peloton black and red colors. I know you and I spoke about this beforehand. I would have loved to have seen them in red with black accessories just to change it up a little bit. And
I mean, they're pretty much all black. Except for
they're pretty much all black with a little bit of red
accents.
Exactly, the cleats are red, etc. So they were teased on Peloton social, I guess at the beginning of the week, and then you actually said that you were on Jess Sims's class, her bike boot camp, and I guess she was
showing them off.
Showing them off, right? That was
she was selling
cute.
them. She was selling them hard in pre-show and during the shoe store transitions to the floor. Showing off how easily she slipped in and out of them.
I think that was kind of cute.
But she didn't actually say like, these are my new Peloton shoes. She was just, like, let me do a quad stretch. Let me get the other side for symmetry.
She was being sneaky. And then I guess either that day or the next day they were released for purchase. So so that was kind of cool. So I mean, I guess something new. They will certainly have more info once some of us have them. And if you guys have that, if you guys do get them and you want to shoot us a message to pelobuddy.com and let us know what you think of them, we'll definitely share it on the show. And then also kind of hot off the press is I guess they're trying to make their money somewhere. We just noticed that the pricing of the weights has gone up. So that for each of the individual weight that you can purchase, the pricing did just go up for that as well. So that's kind of where they're at as far as apparel and hardware. Or what would you call weights? Hardware? I guess so.
Hardware. Yeah, I think you get the weights on the same. I don't think you buy the weights aren't sold on the
apparel. Neither were the shoes.
Boutique.
It was a little confusing. Yeah.
So you can't use. It's a bummer. You couldn't use a referral code. On the boutique site to buy. You have to use the other kind of code.
I always wonder what the thought process is with that. Don't you? I kind of wonder, why
it's not apparel, it's accessories, and they just separated it out. It's a different.
But the interesting thing is, John, is that if you're using a referral code to buy your bike, you have to use it for the accessories, which is the shoes, or you know what I'm saying? So it kind of doesn't make any sense how they decide to do this. But anyway, that's where we're at with the shoes.
Well, I'm not getting the shoes. I want something a little flashier, like the Super Reps are great because you get all these different vibrant color options, and Jackie has a pair of them in a really sort of bright lime color. Okay. And they look really cool. But these ones, when I saw Jess Sims wearing them, they just look like, just plain Shimano shoes. Yeah. There's nothing really that stood out to me that made them Peloton. Yeah. And I might have gotten these had I not gotten new spin shoes about a year ago. I found my unicorn apparel purchase. Someone was selling a brand new pair of the original Peloton shoes, the OG whites that came when the first few years, and they were white with orange and red accents. So those are my shoes now that I currently wear, but they're very much just like the current black shoes that everyone gets with the bike now, but
I wish you had them to show.
So I
would have loved to have seen them. I don't think I've ever seen them.
Oh, maybe I should run down to the basement and grab them real quick.
When I do the next story, maybe you could go and grab them, because I'd love to, after you've done yours, I'd love to see what they look like. I think that could kind of be cool
they really,
to see what those, I didn't even realize that, to be honest with you. I didn't realize that they had.
Somewhere in 2017 or late 2016, they switched to selling the black ones with, the white trim on the side with the Peloton logo.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. You learn something new every day. I'm telling you. Yeah. All right. So tell us what's up next.
In other news, we've got a new feature, related classes. So Peloton released a new feature showing members similar content when you browse classes on the bike or the tread. So it's been rolling out this past week. They added a support page about it with additional details, but basically when you're viewing details about a class on the Bike Plus or the Tread or Tread Plus, you'll now be able to see a related classes line on the left-hand column, or on the right side of the screen. You can sort of scroll down a ways through those different columns that are listed on the left-hand side, and you'll see related classes there that are similar to the one that you're currently viewing. So if you're viewing, a 45-minute Power Zone ride, it'll list some additional 45-minute Power Zone rides with the same instructor or possibly some other instructors. And it'll display a maximum of 4 classes, and they always appear to be the same length of whatever class you currently are looking at. But they're not available every time you pull up a class. It seems to be for most different modalities, strength, yoga on both devices. But it's not going to be like every time you pull up a class, you might not always see related classes for it in the on-demand library. But
very interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of nice just to give you some additional options.
Yeah, I like that. I actually haven't seen it yet, interestingly enough. So again, I've been doing a lot on the app, just a couple bit on the bike. So I definitely need to look into that a little bit more. I didn't even know that. So you just, again, taught me something new. Well, what we did see though, John, was an update to the Peloton digital iOS app, which seems to have removed the ability to filter the upcoming class schedule by subclass type. So before this update, folks could filter by a particular class type when you were looking at the upcoming schedule, but that seems to actually have disappeared. So, for example, if you were looking at the cycling schedule and wanted to only see kind of the low impact classes that were coming up for the next 2 weeks, you would be able to filter it just by low impact on the iOS app, and you can't do that anymore. So now you can only filter it by length and instructor, as well as classes that you've counted yourself in for. So if you've put classes in there that you've actually counted yourself in for, that still is available for you. This change just happened this past Monday on January the 10th. And interestingly enough, which I always find quite amusing, is that this only impacted iOS users. So Android users still get to see that, but for some reason, us iOS users don't. So not sure if it's just a temporary change, or whether it's going to be something that's going to be, a more permanent thing. Of course, we'll keep you folks updated, and we'll keep a close watch, to see if this does change to a more permanent thing down the road. But yeah, kind of weird. I must be honest, though, I've never utilized that. I've never utilized that particular tab.
I haven't either. I only utilize that more with on demand, and that option is still there.
Yes.
So you can still, filter by themed or low impact, intervals, and I forget there's a few other choices. So at least that filter selection is still there for on demand.
Correct. Yeah, this is just for upcoming scheduled.
Yeah, I mean, Android. We're getting the shaft a little bit on the iOS side. Android still has the all classes selection to view on the schedule, which we still don't have yet. So I still have to use my mobile browser in Safari or Chrome to view that. But that's kind of strange. Well, and other strange things on the schedule, Ally Love, could she possibly be teaching running on the tread? Or could it just be a glitch on the schedule? But if you happen to look at the live schedule, like Chris Lewis was looking with Pelo Buddy this past week on last Wednesday night, you might have seen an Ally Love tread run pop up briefly. It just seems to be like some test data that they might have had up there. As there was also another class that just was labeled as Love Lean Test, a cycling class showing up at the same time as well with Ally. But it'll be interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. But Ally has been very passionate and running a lot on her new tread that she got not too long ago in her apartment. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was announced as, one of the new tread instructors from the cycling platform, just the way, Jess King has also added that to her resume with Peloton. Right. So it would not surprise me at all. So we'll see. Maybe, maybe an intern accidentally, hit a button, fat fingered something on the keyboard at headquarters. But
I always feel bad that we blame the interns, right? Those poor interns. I hope they don't watch the show.
But leave it to Pelo Buddy, the TMZ of Peloton, to always catch it. Absolutely. Well, something that we do know, John, and it was very wonderful this past week, is that we saw the drop of the Amy Winehouse Artist Series. And wow, this one I don't think disappointed at all. Amy Winehouse, for anybody living under a rock, was an extraordinary English singer, songwriter. That really was taken from us way too early. Amy was just 27 and at the height of her fame. The dreaded curse of 27. So many.
Right. So many artists.
Singers, celebrities. Yeah.
It is. It's pretty insane. It's crazy, actually. But she was tragically found dead in her apartment in Camden, London, in July of 2011. It was confirmed that she had passed away of alcohol poisoning. And what we have read or believe is that it was after binge drinking, interestingly enough, following a period of abstinence. And what was just so tragic was that she really was at the height of her career. But fortunately for us Amy Winehouse fans, she had released some incredible music before she passed away. And it was amazing to get it on the platform. So the series, the artist series included 2 rides, one in English and one in German, a run, a yoga flow, and a strength class. The full schedule is up on the pelobuddy.com website. But I can assure you it is not an artist series to be missed. And if you bear to stick around for the next hour, it will definitely be featured in the picks of the week. So a little hint there, but I thought it was a spectacular artist series to have dropped. She's just amazing. And
I did the ride. The ride was great. I did the ride live. Were you on the ride?
I was on the ride. Oh yeah, I was. But interestingly enough, and I'll share it.
The Hannah Frankson.
The Hannah Frankson Wednesday, and it is my pick of the week. So I'll talk about it then. But I will share, just kind of an off-bar little bit. One of the girls that I've become really friendly with from the UK, and I'll give her a shout out, Tara Caudle, who's now become a very close friend, and is just lovely. Her daughter, I believe it's her daughter, is in class with Amy Winehouse's nephew. And they're in the same class in the UK. And Tara was telling us when we were talking about the ride that he is very aware of his aunt, even though he never met her because he's little. He is very aware of her. He comes in often in T-shirts with her picture, or the picture of her on there. And it just really cool. Apparently he's a really cool kid. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And she shared that, kind of on a side note. So yeah, thought I would throw that out there, which I think is really lovely. So, yeah.
Well, in other artist series news, in case we needed any more confirmation that there will be an upcoming David Bowie artist series, there's been an upcoming ad, and Peloton has put out a new ad starting to air titled Discover Peloton Bowie Bootcamp. And the commercial features a 30-minute David Bowie bootcamp with Selena. So on a recent commercial that I saw on TV, I think it had tread and bike in it. They were playing Let's Dance by David Bowie.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and also on Thursday's Insta Live with Selena Samuela, she was in a car headed to the airport to actually go to Florida. Somebody asked her if she was going to be doing a David Bowie boot camp or run, and she just immediately said, "I plead the fifth."
So we pretty much know what that
confirm
means, don't we?
Nor deny.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it's coming. And obviously, the picture that Peloton has posted with the platform boot shoe, spinning around, like Saturn, that's an obvious nod to Space Oddity, to David Bowie and his eccentricity, in some of the outfits he would wear back then. So it's coming. We know it's coming. I don't think
that's going to be an awesome.
We could get any more indications.
That'll be an awesome artist series because what an artist! What an artist!
Curious, who do you think will get the rides in English? I was thinking maybe Dennis, because Dennis seems to be a very big Bowie. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think who else. Maybe Jess King, because Jess King's kind of out there with the Jess King experience. So I feel like
it's just been released.
So Jess King's got next Wednesday. She's got the artist series time slot. So right now it's labeled as a rock ride, according to the control room, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday.
That's it. You called it.
If it's going to be this Wednesday, Selena with a run at 7 p.m. Dennis with the yoga. Okay, so it's all making sense now.
You know your instructors, John. That's pretty cool that you called out Dennis and Jess. That's crazy.
Well, Jess seems the obvious choice because she's so extra. So she's going to pull out all the stops with the production and the lights and the outfit and the glitter. So that's just right up her alley.
I do love how they've done
it'll be
that.
Cool.
I do love though how they've kind of on some of these. I mean, certainly Leanne with the ABBA ride was just absolutely incredible, and how they did the camera angles and the filming, and they've definitely put so much more. The production is just phenomenal. I will say certainly on the Amy Winehouse ride, there wasn't any great hoopla, but you know what, it was. Amy didn't call for that, and I think Hannah did her justice. I mean, she really did. And again, I'll talk about it more in Picks of the Week. But
it really depends on the artist. If you need all the production in it to go with it,
the hoopla or not. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Well, there is a new program that has been launched called You Can Ride. And it was just released this past week. It is intended for new members, specifically new riders, John, and it's a 3-week program that gives folks a taste of different classes and instructors, as well as kind of guiding new members on how to clip in, how to use the touch screen. So it is kind of nice, for us to kind of go back to basics, for folks to just kind of go back to basics, as well as for new members. There are so many new members on there, because we always say it can be a little intimidating when you first get your bike. Where do I start? What do I do? So this program is a suggested 3-week program with 9 classes, and it calls for 3 active days per week. The instructors featured are Leanne Hainsby, Alec Toussaint, Robin Arzon, Hannah Frankson, Camilla Ramon, Sam Yo, Cody Rigsby, Emma Lovewell, and Kendall Toole. And from what I can tell is the program brand new classes. It includes a 20-minute beginner hit ride, a rock ride, a low impact, and more. And it is set up as a program. So the classes are not found under the regular class schedules. And it does have to be taken in order to access the content. So you have to kind of do it that way. If you're interested in taking a peek, or maybe just getting back to basics, you can head over to pelobuddy.com for a full list of the 9 classes available, and the order in which they appear.
Well, in other program news, Amanda, as we had previously mentioned in last week's episode, we were pretty confident that the Crush Your Core 2 program was going to launch with Emma Lovewell, which it did last Friday, the morning of the 7th. Crush Your Core 2 officially launched, and it's now available on the Peloton platform. There's a full article that we have linked on pelobuddy.com, which will give you a full overview of the program, the class list, and a lot more. But the program contains 18 classes, calls for 4 to 5 active days per week for 4 weeks. And the program description simply reads, Emma is back with her second Crush Your Core program. Whether you're starting from scratch or returning to give your core the care it craves, the next 4 weeks are sure to leave you feeling stronger from the inside out. And though she's been dropping new core classes on demand every week since last year, the Crush Your Core Program 2 contains an entirely new set of classes. And the only equipment requirement you need is a workout mat and a set of light weights. Classes range in length from 5 to 20 minutes. And they're burners. Even a 5-minute core class will, your abs, your core is going to be screaming. Because when I was on the bike the other day, Jackie, after she did a walk with Rebecca Kennedy, she went and did one of the core classes with Emma, and I saw her shaking like she was, like a leaf. So, I mean, Emma's no joke with those core classes, and people love them. But she's great at those.
That's awesome.
I haven't dived into them yet. The core stuff.
Neither.
I've done some core stuff with Andy, and I get ab spasms when I'm doing some of those. It's just like I have to stop. It feels really weird.
Yeah,
but they're a burner.
Been a big core. I've never been that. I have to say that's probably one of my only assets is that I have a pretty flat stomach, but no excuse, and I should probably still work on my abs. But I could talk about a lot of things that aren't right with my body, but that's one that I have to say. So I've never focused on going towards doing core. But folks are loving it, and everybody's posting about it. I mean, I see it on social consistently, with folks, getting really into it. So, it's fun to have these new programs to try. And then I guess lastly in the news, John, is, they dropped another Adidas Apparel, and, I got to tell you, it wasn't any more exciting than the first one.
No, not.
I
don't hear much
impressed.
buzz. Pretty underwhelming.
Underwhelming
the overall,
is a perfect word. Yep.
The overall underwhelming is the overall sentiment that I've seen and I've read. I'm gonna stay away from it. If I stop by a showroom, maybe I'll check out a shirt and kind of feel the material, but I don't want to deal with using a referral code on that apparel and then
For
the
sure.
hassle of sending it back, it's kind of a waste. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I have to say, I did a quick squiz. I mean, Ali Love did a great job in the marketing of it, and they've done a really good job from a marketing perspective of these new drops. I have to say, Peloton Apparel truly have done a fantastic job. Just don't love, and there's still so much that's on sale that at this point, I almost don't want to spend full price on anything because it's so frustrating unless I absolutely love something and, everybody's talking about it. And there certainly are pieces that I don't want to miss out on. Or haven't wanted to miss out on in the past, but there was nothing there that I have to say kind of took my fancy. But it was dropped, and if anybody's interested, certainly head over to the apparel site on Peloton and take a look. But I wasn't impressed at all.
Cody was wearing a nice Peloton Adidas shirt on his Thursday bike boot camp that looked pretty nice, and it said Peloton letters, on the front. And then on the left sleeve, short sleeve, it had Adidas and then the Peloton logo with a little hash mark in between.
Okay.
But I just don't know, like a lot of the Adidas stuff that I got 2 whatever collabs ago, they were just so baggy. Well, they were so baggy, and I think a lot of them were a lot of them were unisex, so the fitting was off. That's my main concern. If it's too baggy than the normal fit, then I'm not gonna take the chance.
Right. And again, it's expensive, so you really have to love it and make sure that that's what that's kind of what you want. But there's some great stuff out there, so there's something for everybody. I always say that. And I guess moving right along, John, we are moving into Instructor in the news, and there's a lot. I mean, I'm noticing each week, I think the news kind of goes down and the Instructor in the news goes up.
Yeah.
There was a ton of Instructor in the news stuff for this week. So you go ahead and hit it off.
A lot of instructors getting press this past week. So Toussaint, she was included in InStyle.com's the Badass 50 list. And twice a year, InStyle releases a list of 50 women that they see out there making the world a better place. This feature has perhaps never felt as urgent as it does right now, when the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, environmental anxiety, and the long days of winter combine to cast quite a pall. Toussaint was listed in the 20th spot, and her little the blurb on her reads, when the pandemic forced many of us to work from home, a workout from home movement was also born, and no method was more sought after than Peloton. As one of the platform's most popular instructors, Oyenens conducts confidence-boosting classes that have become an inspiration to people of all fitness levels by proving anyone can be an athlete. Toussaint is quoted as saying, "I didn't make the sports teams that I tried out for in my teenage years, but today I feel incredibly connected with my tribe, and that sense of belonging holds me accountable every single day." Now partnered with Nike, releasing a book this summer, Oyenens hopes to create a more inclusive community for sport and invite more women and young girls into the space. And just to give you an idea of some of the other, there's a lot of names that I didn't recognize, but the number one, did you see who number one was?
No, I didn't.
In the top 50? It was Malala Yousafzai.
Yeah.
The Pakistani activist who also survived the assassination attempt a few years back. She was she was number one.
So she made quite a list to it. I mean, there was some. And getting 20 is pretty awesome out of 50.
Right
good
in
for Toussaint.
The upper echelon.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, next up was Jess Sims, and she was featured in Ringer.com in an article entitled "Rise of the Celebrity Instructor Transformed Our Relationship with Fitness." The article talks about how the fitness industry was forced to adapt as well to the global pandemic, and that nearly 2 years later, many of these changes are here to stay, some for the good, some for the bad. The article actually featured a 34-year-old tax accountant, Jessica Minardi, from suburban Los Angeles, and she talks about how she fell in love with Jess Sims after her first 30-minute trap fun run. She goes on to say how Peloton makes her feel like an athlete, and that's exactly what she needed. She said she needed to feel empowered and incredible during her workouts, and that Jess Sims gave her that ability to do so, which I know she's done for so many people. Jess shares, and she kind of goes on to share that, back in early 2020, the members of a group called Black Girl Magic. It's a Facebook group of more than about 27,000 Peloton users planned a meetup at the Red Rooster restaurant in Harlem. And one of the organizers had reached out to her and Tunde to invite them to the gathering, which they expected to draw about 100 members. Jess says, Tunde and I popped up on them and surprised them. And when I tell you I had my Beyonce moment, I thought the building was going to fall over. They screamed bloody murder. She goes, I'm telling you, I was really like, Tunde, are we Beyonce? What's happening here? So Jess goes on to say that she, certainly doesn't think of herself as a celebrity, and we all see how humble and amazing she is. And that's one of the things that I really admire about someone like Jess. Tunde is a good example of that too. And she says she definitely finds it humorous. She says when she runs into members doing workouts, for example, in the park, she happens to be in the park, and she sees members doing workouts in the park, and they'll like run over to her and as if they're like her old friend, saying, Jess, you're like my best friend. We work out with you, every day, 6 days a week. And Jess like looks back and says, I'm Jess Sims. And they're like, yeah, we know you, Jess Sims. You're like this huge, part of our everyday life. So that was the ringer.com article. And then she was also featured in InStyle.com as well. And this article was titled Peloton's Jess Sims shares the Pinterest fitness phrase she hates and the one that actually motivates her. And she says why she thinks we should aim to exercise less and move more. So I love that she focused on this. And basically the article talks about how even Peloton instructors don't necessarily love to work out, and how they are, sometimes them too have to fight the urge to hit the snooze button before, clipping in or tying up their laces. Jess says that she, sometimes really needs to just listen to her body and encourages members like us to do the same. She says there are definitely days where you don't have to jump on that hit ride or that hit run just because it's a new workout and it's with your favorite instructor. If your body's telling you otherwise, she says, listen to it. Don't, because you can overtrain. And she says that's something that she absolutely wants to point out, to members. She says, and, she goes on to say that movement, is just as important as hardcore workouts. So sometimes just maybe taking the dog for an extra, 15-minute walk or half an hour walk as opposed to your normal, 5 or 10 minute, is just as important. And that can be, never, feel discouraged that that's all you're doing for a day. As long as you're moving your body and you're not a couch potato, she encourages folks to do that. So it was great advice. And I think we do have to listen to our bodies, no question. And I'm seeing more and more of that. And certainly the instructors are being more vocal about that. Just to kind of throw out folks that I follow, one was John Husking. He's been off the platform for the last 3 weeks. Again, because I have he was scheduled to be off because of vacation, because of holiday. And I think he extended a little bit. And it was interesting because towards the end of the year, I had noticed that he was wearing a knee brace. And because I'm his admin, I'd reached out and said, hey, John, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of just an old soccer injury is coming to its forefront. And I just have to, be careful and I have to, watch it. And he said, we've been chatting and he was saying to me, I just took off. I took off these 3 weeks just to have my body heal. And he said it was rough to get back into it. But, that was something. And Leanne and Ben, they were away over the New Year holiday, and they said that I think they went into the gym one day, and they just said, you know what? No, we need a break. Our bodies need a break. So I think that is, crucial information for us. We all want to, strive to beat the next person or see what the next person is doing or have these. And I'm just as much to blame. I mean, believe you me, I love my awesome stacks and I love to but if you really look at them, I'm adding in much more stretching. I'm adding in that meditation. I'm, started doing more yoga. So it doesn't all have to be that hardcore, intense workout.
It's good to diversify. I definitely don't do it enough, especially on the strength side, which is why I do the boot camps, because it forces me to do the strength portion.
Brilliant.
And it also breaks up the monotony of just cycling or running or walking the whole time. It mixes it up, keeps me engaged.
Yeah. But I love that these instructors are being so vocal about it, and that's been really helpful. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cody Rigsby, he was recently interviewed on delish.com for his participation in Dry January going on right now. And he gives advice for first timers, anyone who's, giving up drinking, giving up alcohol for the month of January. And at the beginning of the article, it says Cody's partnering with Pure Leaf Tea to make Dry January a breeze. And he even came up with a signature mocktail using Pure Leaf's black tea. I feel like he's been partnering with a new product or company every week.
Right.
There's always something. He's such an ad whore right now with all these brand partnerships. It's just funny because I kidded at him and I commented and I said, I think I was on the Pure Leaf Insta post that he posted just recently. I said, booze collecting them checks in 22.
That's funny. It's true.
But he goes on to say, he was quoted as saying, Dry January allows you to step away from distractions. I think that even a few drinks at night can mess with your sleep, and then that messes up your day. And if you really drink heavy, say on a Friday, that takes away from your plans that you had the next day on Saturday morning to say, take a yoga class or a cycling ride or do your meditations. So it can really have a domino effect of interfering with the things that you need to do for yourself. And it also mentioned it isn't the first time he's taken a break from alcohol. He mentions he'd gone 6 weeks without drinking in the past, but he's holding up. And I think it's great because a lot of members, hundreds of members on the Boo crew have joined him in doing a Dry January. And he talked about it recently in one of his pop or intervals and arm rides. He was on, day 5. I think it was a week ago, last Friday, on his ride that he did. He, he's day 5 into Dry January and he felt so rested. He went out and he just had a soda or a light sparkling water, and his friends are drinking, and he said he felt so great the next day and he felt so rested, getting, proper, pure sleep. So good for him, and good for anyone else that's doing it.
100%. I mean, there's no question from a cleansing perspective and just from a, resetting your body. It's a great time to do it because we kind of, got into a domino effect towards the end of the year. And look, we've had a rough 2 years. And, for a lot of people, that's, kind of what got them through the monotony and, just the depression. And it, as you said, I mean, it's a domino effect. It can absolutely be a domino effect. So yeah, definitely. I have to say, I mean, I'm one of those people that can go with it or without it. I mean, we'll have a social drink, and we've hardly done anything this year. So I've kind of had a dry January so far, because we've just, haven't been, going anywhere. So, and that tends to be, I would never just kind of open up, a bottle of wine at home. I just don't do that. So it's interesting, and it's been nice, and it does make one feel good. So good for the instructors for putting it out there and making it normal, and not for folks just to accept that they're human too. And I love that they share that kind of thing with us. Well, talking about normal, John, this past week we saw Robin Arzon, Superwoman. Her new Strong Mama children's book was out on the shelves. And, Robin says that she never in a million years imagined that she would write a children's book. And she made the decision early on that she was going to model self-care as a mom. And we all know that Robin is capable of anything. She pivoted from being a fully fledged lawyer to becoming a fitness instructor and now an author of a children's book. And that certainly is no surprise for any of us. Robin did go on to say that her goal with the book is to provide examples for kids and even talking points for parents and caregivers around the importance of movement and self-care. So it goes back to the instructors being advocates, for this type of behavior and just showing up, being there and just proving to your kids, to yourselves, to your friends, to your partners, how you can do things constructively and healthily. And I've seen the book obviously just on social. There have been tons of people that have gone out and gotten the book and have said it's fantastic. But good for her. And one of the things she had said in her Instagram post was, if you do get the book and you like the book, review it. She said that definitely is important to get those 5-star reviews out there because it does bring the awareness of this book. I mean, obviously the Peloton community are very aware of it, but there's a whole world out there. So definitely, if you like the book, make sure that you do review it because that'll be helpful for Robin. So that was good to see.
Well, Robin was also recently on a podcast. She was interviewed on the Death, Sex, and Money podcast just recently, talking about running through trauma, which if you haven't heard her story, from well before she came to Peloton. It's a pretty crazy, interesting story that particular trauma that she went through, changing career paths, like you said, Amanda, from being an attorney, and how motherhood has changed how she values her time. So definitely check out that one. We've got it linked on pelobuddy.com, so you can easily check it out. And also Alex Toussaint, he was recently interviewed on the Steam Room with Charles Barkley. And I think there's a full video of it. I know Alex posted a very short 1-minute video clip of him on the show, but I listened to the audio of the interview, but I believe there's full video of it as well out there. But it was a real good interview that Alex had with Charles Barkley and his co-host, EJ. He talked about being kicked out of every school that he went to as a kid. He said his father was really hard on him at a young age, and he didn't feel like he lived up to his family name. So he went to military school for one to keep him out of trouble, because he felt the path he was going down to wasn't going to lead to anything good in life. So that helped him find direction when he was there. But I really liked it. It got into discussing more of his days when he was at Flywheel Sports, when he was mopping floors there. And he talked a lot about getting the opportunity to teach spin class from the owner, Ruth Zuckerman. So that was really interesting, because I haven't caught a whole lot of interviews with him talking about the Flywheel days. So I like that they kind of dived into that a little more. And then he talked about being recruited by Peloton in early 2014, getting the chance from John Foley. And one thing that stuck out, he said, it all comes down to people seeing a light in you that you don't see in yourself. And that's what they saw in him at Flywheel, and obviously at Peloton, when he grew before he came to Peloton. He gave Charles some diet advice, because Charles Barkley has said how he's put on a lot of weight and he's working on his diet. And Charles was like, tell me what I should eat. And, quickly Alex was like, I don't like to tell anybody what they should eat. Your body is your temple. But he just said, know your body, what works best for you. He said, stay away from having too much carbs and, going too heavy on the fatty foods, having discipline. And I thought it was funny that the Charles Barkley's co-host, EJ, he totally called, threw him under the bus. He goes, Charles has a Peloton that he doesn't even ride. And Charles quickly said, he was almost acting like he was too big or heavy, like the bike wouldn't be able to handle all of his weight. But he also said, like, I'm trying to get my weight down to where I can ride it and not just feel like I'm just pedaling, like I'm just moving, like he really wants to get the workout in. And I think he's trying to get his diet in order so he can jump into it and really just do it, with the normal regular routine. But it was a really good interview. I always like, hearing Alex is always, he's always very animated, and I love some of the stories, especially from those flywheel days.
Yeah.
Because it's such a great story from coming from, cleaning the spin studio, mopping the floors to where he is now on such a huge stage, and in commercials and all these celebrity athletes that love to train with him, tennis players and golf players and football players, they love him. So it's just kind of a really cool arc.
Alex's story is phenomenal. And I remember going back to, working classes from home and him talking about it. And that story has always just moved me. I think it's amazing. And I think it just gives, it gives other folks and certainly young Black men out there that, ability to know that you can do anything if you put your mind to it and if you believe in yourself. Yeah. And I guess that's ultimately where he believed in himself. He figured, okay, I can do this, and got the opportunity and went for it. So he is an incredibly inspirational human, no question. Adore that about him. So an article was dropped actually in a UK website called graziadaily.co.uk, and it featured Ali Love, but of course my girl Leanne. And the article was titled "6-Figure Salaries in Agents Inside the World of the Peloton Super Trainers." The article talks about how 4 years ago, Cody Rigsby was scouting for new recruits in the UK when he spotted Leanne teaching a spin class in London. He approached Leanne after the class, and we've heard the story before, but he approached Leanne after the class and said to her that he would change her life. And she says how she remembers this being so over the top and totally dismissed him. And you can just kind of picture, you can totally picture like Cody.
I don't know this story.
This
is the first time I didn't realize he recruited her.
So Leanne had come out of a really bad relationship. She had moved back home with her parents. She had been a dancer. She was a professional dancer, and she pivoted and wanted to just downsize everything about her life and started to teach spin classes. And Cody Cody, I guess, was recruiting. They were getting ready to start start the UK cycle studio, and saw her in a spin class. And at first, I think, if I remember the story correctly, he DM'd her on Instagram initially, and she didn't respond. So then he actually waited for her outside of a class, because sometimes you don't see your DMs or whatever. She never
it goes in the request.
Who is this person? And especially Leanne, she's just so modest and so kind of like, under the radar. And I'm sure back then was totally under the radar. So he stalked her, and he kind of waited outside of class and said, and I can absolutely picture Cody saying to her, I'm going to change your life. You're going to have a whole new life. And of course, fast tracking 4 years later, you all know, that he was far from wrong. But the attention that Leanne, has attracted, she says, she finds is quite surreal, and it makes her feel very uncomfortable. And she says, when you think of someone as a celebrity, you think of them being on a different level. She goes, and that's something that she's always worked very hard not to be like. Not that there's anything wrong with it. She's just never liked, loved the attention. And, certainly knowing her as well as I do when reading, when I first spotted the article and read through it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is Leanne. Now I understand, more about her and her personality, because whilst, she's so authentic, and I'll share that a little bit in the article as well, but she's never been one to, be gushing over the, the celebrity status that she has now, gotten. It did say, the article did go on to say that bridging the gap between fitness and celebrity Peloton trainers, and they're now basically part athlete, part reality star, part life coach. And it talks about how, different instructors' social medias have exploded, Cody Rigsby hitting over 1 million followers, how each of them have certainly come from some kind of backstory. And we've just spoken about, Alex's flywheel, and, Robin being an attorney and pivoting and doing something like this, Ali Love, and Leanne being professional, dancers. They all have amazing stories behind them. How Kendall has always been so open about relationships and mental health issues. And Leanne did go on to say how she was taught that authenticity is crucial, and that during her 2 months of training at Peloton's, the flagship New York studio, before she joined in 2018, was something that really resonated with her, was just being really authentic and being yourself on the bike. She says, because adopting a different persona during live classes, she said, would never have worked. She said the pressure that they're under on the bike when they're on there, and we have to kind of step back and think about it. They're performing to this, huge audience. And even though, now they're just kind of doing it behind a camera, there's still, sometimes hundreds of thousands of people that end up getting to ride or run or work out with them. So she said, if you were not yourself, then that would become very evident very quickly to the members. And, that kind of wouldn't be cool. So, it did go on to say that whilst Peloton doesn't disclose their salaries, Jess Sims had revealed back in 2019 that she had made six figures with her stock options. Clearly, it's not worth as much as it was worth 18 months ago.
Diminished returns, yeah.
Exactly. And Bloomberg had reported that senior instructors make over $500,000 a year. And then, of course, they all have their lucrative deals, as you just said, Cody, and his extra paychecks, from all the different things that they're all, whether it be Ali and the Brooklyn Nets, or, Jen Sherman and
Jess Sims
her, all of them.
Jess
all of them,
is,
they've all kind of got their side things.
The women's basketball team, I think she's the MC.
Correct. She's now the MC for that.
The Barclays Center. Yep.
Absolutely. So they've all kind of got their side gigs, but they are very well paid and
worth every penny, in my opinion.
And worth every penny. You took the words out of my mouth. So it was a great article. So again, if you want to go through and read, I've pretty much given you a good overview, but pelobuddy.com have all of these Instructor in the News articles up on the website. So definitely head over to see.
Yeah. Yeah, every time I bump into Jen Sherman, I'm like, "How much you making these days, Jen?"
Right.
they're all doing well, and more power to them. They're worth it.
Exactly.
Well, lastly, in case you didn't see it, the internet family, the Holderness family, they put out a new Peloton-related video this past week called "The 6 Stages of the Peloton Husband." And it was pretty funny. The first stage, is the outrage of the bike, the crazy expensive bike, and the Holderness father, reacting to it. He's thinking it's just going to go in the garage, and I forget what's the Holderness wife's name. What's her first name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I'm afraid.
But she's like, no, it's going upstairs in the bedroom. And then stage 2 is the jealousy. So the husband down the hall, he hears the wife laughing. Ooh, laughing to the instructor, which is Cody, on her ride. He's getting all jealous. Stage 3 is the financial obligation, all the accessories and apparel that you have to invest in. And then it showed Penn Holderness tiptoeing in his shoes because he forgot his water bottle down the hallway on the wood floors. And then stage 4, choosing only manly rides. So he's choosing, that shows him choosing Power Zone. And then stage 5, it takes this turn into a turn that I love, into the Cody Rigsby world. So stage 5 is, who is this Cody? And then stage 6 is Cody forever. So they're fully on board with Cody, the husband and wife. Yeah.
Straight dudes for Cody. I love it. You've been called out on that a couple times this week. I've seen that. I think Selena called you out on that, on your straight dudes for Cody hashtag.
Notice. Yeah, she took notice of the tag. Got a laugh from that. Yeah, it's another a funny video. I know. I can't remember what their previous Peloton video was titled, but I do.
Was it a Halloween?
I do remember. Yeah, I do remember the Holderness mom doing the Leanne Wicked ride or Broadway ride, and all of a sudden he turned the husband. Yeah, and her face was painted green, and she had the witch hat on from Wicked. But it was cute.
Kim, that's her name. Kim.
Thank
Holderness.
You,
control
there
room.
We go.
Thank you, control room. Yeah, Kim.
So they're obviously big Cody fans.
It is funny though.
His base is only growing.
I did have a good chuckle because I remember it so vividly, John, that when I originally said I wanted to get my Peloton, Mark's reaction was, it's just going to be another goddamn clothes horse that sits in the gym and never gets used. Unfortunately, we never got to stage 5, 6, or 7, 4, 5, or 6 in our family. Cycling was not something that Mark ever wanted to do. But there's no question that the jealousy is there. I mean, sometimes he'll turn around and say, for God's sake, seriously, are you still working out? And I'm like, still working out? You're going to moan about the fact that I'm still working out? You should be happy that I'm still working out. So I watching that was, I wish he had gotten more involved in it. And yet I don't, because I kind of like the fact that my bike is my bike and nobody touches my bike. And, it's all mine. I never have to worry about moving the seat. It's mine. So, obviously you guys ended up getting a second bike just for that reason, so that Jackie has hers and you have yours and nobody messes with each other's, which is great. But yeah, it was kind of funny to see. And then lastly,
Jackie and I, we no longer have to fight over having one bike, but we definitely do now fight a little bit over the tread, because she always wants to take. Rebecca Kennedy is my girl. Okay, that's my instructor.
She
loves to do the hikes with RK. I like to do pretty much everything with Rebecca, but Jackie mainly does just the hikes with her. So she's always claiming the hikes, usually that are on Wednesdays or Tuesdays with her. So I have to.
Funny. Are we going to see Are we going to see a regular tread in that?
Maybe basement? I'll get her a baby. I'll get her the lower cost baby tread, which she'll stick her nose up to because it doesn't have the shock absorbing slats. But Jackie will take my inventory sometimes and ask me how much I've worked out that day, which sometimes can be to excess, because she'll see all my changes of workout clothes piling up on the dryer, because I'm, when I have to put them in, she'll be like, I saw 3 or how many times did you work out today? Because I saw a lot of changes of clothes in the laundry room. They're like, dude, don't worry about yourself, okay?
Right.
Daddy, chill.
Exactly. I gotta say, that's one of the things that, it's not an issue with us, but don't ever diss my workout ethic. It's only to keep me healthier and fitter and happier. And believe you me, if I wasn't working out, I would not be as happy as I am. So there, go for it. And hope all you guys watching and listening feel the same way. And I know you do. And then lastly, happy birthday to one-of-a-kind Hannah Frankson. Hannah had a birthday this past week. She celebrated on Tuesday, and she did it in true Hannah style. And she's just so lovely. She is just so lovely. So happy birthday to Hannah.
Happy birthday, Hannah.
So, John.
Picks of the week.
Picks of the week. And I am taking claim as first up this week. I know I've given you it. I don't have much, but I have some goodies. So picks of the week, folks. First up on the bike is Hannah Frankson's 30-minute Amy Winehouse ride. It is definitely my pick of the week. The tracks that Hannah picked to just the structure of the ride couldn't have been more perfect. From Stronger Than Me to Rehab to Back to Black, Valerie, Tears Dry on Their Own. I could go on and on. But she picked up on all the classics. And I think that she would have made Amy incredibly proud. It really was an amazing ride. And even in the intro, Hannah can be an absolute chatterbox. And she kept on going like this. She kept on in the pre-show. She kept on, kind of saying, I just can't talk over this, And even during the ride, she apologized for not, being big on shout outs. And she just said, I just wanted us to enjoy the music and get everything out of it. And it was phenomenal, a phenomenal ride. And I had forgotten that it was going to be that afternoon. So I had done a pretty heavy stack in the morning. But I wasn't missing out on doing that live since I, was around and had the ability to do it. So I was really pleased. And there was a group of us kind of all doing it together, and we were all kind of pushing each other and messaging each other while we were riding. So it was really fun to do.
There's also an Amy Winehouse documentary on Showtime.
Yes. Well, interestingly enough,
you haven't seen it.
100% right. There's a documentary which I haven't watched yet, and I heard about it. In fact, I believe Hannah may have spoken about it. But there's also, for those living in the UK, there's an Amy Winehouse exhibition at the moment in London, and Hannah said that she had gone to see it just the week before. So she said she just felt that she, was all Amy Winehouse ready to go. So folks living in the UK or those that are in London, there is an Amy Winehouse exhibition on at the moment. I can't tell you where it's on at, but certainly if you Google it, I'm sure you guys will find it. Next up is I am adding Leanne's 30-minute rock ride from Monday, January the 10th. And for those folks that follow me and know me well, I was never much of a rock fan until I discovered Rock with Leanne. And she
was that
turned
the rock
my
or
whole,
the 80s?
The 80s rock. It was an 80s rock.
Okay, it was
ride.
It was 80s rock.
Sorry, I should have added 80s. Yeah. The 80s rock rides are. This is I think the second one that I've picked, or maybe even third. But this one, from start to finish, John, had banger after banger.
I concur.
Right? Concur?
I concur,
from
Doctor.
Def Leppard.
Concur completely.
She had Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar On, to Asia's Heat of the Moment, Billy Squires, Everybody Wants You, The Rolling Stones, Start Me Up, Bon Jovi, You Give Love a Bad Name, and ending with The Police's Don't Stand So Close to Me. I mean, it was like unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And, sometimes I forget that I know, look, I'm a 70s girl. So I grew up in the 70s, 80s when I was listening to all of this. So I knew all the words to all of these songs. And, it had me pushing myself. Thank you for all of your high fives on there. I was excited to see you on there, but it made myself proud. So I have to say,
well, I was going to make that my pick of the week, but I knew it was going to be
that
one
I was
going to
do it.
So
amazing.
I had plenty of other ones to throw in there, but my favorite track, and I've been listening to this song all week since that ride on Amazon Music, The Tubes, She's a Beauty. Such a good song. And I haven't heard that song on the platform in a while.
Yeah.
But it's so good. And, that's really when I hit my stride during the ride during that song. But and then
all right, I got to go back and listen because I don't remember that particular one.
When I posted my story and tagged Leanne, I put that song clip in there to the little boomerang clip, and Leanne reshared it, and then she messaged me and said something about I love that song.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was super into it.
I mean,
But
she
great
really
tune.
puts, and I'm sure Ben helps her with her playlists. Or I'm just assuming. I'm assuming, Leanne. I'm sorry.
Maybe he reviews. Maybe he reviews
them.
The
But
banger review.
I sometimes like picture the two of them like working on their playlists, and her leaning over to him and saying, "Hey Ben, what do you think? Should I add this one into the playlist this week or not?" But that was just an awesome ride. So definitely had to be a pick of the week. Sorry, folks.
Really good. I always love the 80s stuff.
Yeah, me too. And then being down in Florida, I haven't had access to my tread, but it's nice to be able to take these runs outside. And as we said at the beginning of the show, I am good about doing that, and I did. So I took the tread outside this week, and what I've actually been trying to do, especially with John being off for those 3 weeks, I've actually tried to catch up on all the, since I haven't had a tread for the last 2 months, I've been trying to catch up on all of his walks and runs that he has on the platform. So this is an oldie, but it was a 20-minute EDM run from November the 1st. And folks, it is absolutely a must do. He had Do or Die by Flux Pavilion, and Childish Gambino, to Hey Mama featuring Nicki Minaj, Reba Rexa, and Afrojack. Southside by DJ Snake, to the remix of Blinding Light by Major Lazer and The Weeknd. And I have to tell you, I looked back at and I was outside. So it's, harder because you're not seeing yourself, what you're doing on the tread, but he had a lot of intervals. And when I went back to look at because I have my Apple Watch, so it could tell me what I was doing, I was so impressed with my intervals outside. And you could see my graph.
Your spikes.
My spikes,
nice.
which was amazing. So definitely just a nice 20-minute, EDM run. And then I have 2 yoga picks this week, of course, with Aditi. First is her Amy Winehouse yoga flow. She had it live on Wednesday, the 12th. It was 30 minutes, and it was absolutely fantastic. Very manageable for someone like myself who was a beginner. There were a couple bits in it that, I do tend to have to just do me, because some of the stuff I'm not quite there yet. But fantastic. And again, she picked amazing Amy songs, and it was nice to kind of do those back to back, even though I had just done the ride to hop back on at 6 p.m. that evening to do that. And then I also have to add, because before I had done the Amy Winehouse, this would have been my first pick of the week. And then, of course, when I did Amy, I had to include that one too. But it was a slow flow that she did on Tuesday the 11th, which I absolutely loved. And this included tracks from Elliot Massa's Slip to James Blake, Retrograde, Hoosiers, Work Song, Alicia Keys, Underdog, and 2 tracks from Casey Musgraves. It was Rainbow and Oh What a World. And it was fantastic. I do prefer the slow flows because I feel like I can manage them better than, a more intermediate yoga. But, as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm going to hit 50 yogas this coming Tuesday. She has a live on Tuesday morning, which I like to do. She does a morning meditation, and then it's a pretty hectic morning though, because she does that at 8. Then she has her yoga, and then I literally kind of have to leave the yoga a few minutes early to jump on Leanne's ride, but it's worth it. Yeah. And I love being able to do that. And then I wanted to give a shout out to Charlotte Wiedenbach, German cycling instructor, because I ended up doing a cool down ride with her, which dropped on December the 3rd, and a post ride stretch from January the 4th. And my goal, John, is to try and get in every instructor this year. I want to try and get some kind of workout with every instructor, especially being on the show. I really do want to try and diversify myself and have something from everybody. And I was blown away. She is lovely. Of course, I didn't understand a damn thing that she was saying, but it did have subtitles. And with the cool down, I just stuck it on autofollow. So, having the Bike Plus, you were able to do that, which was great, because sometimes I do tend to not drop my resistance. And it was fantastic. So I really, really enjoyed working out with her. So I liked her vibe and, on the floor, and definitely advise. Oh, and what I like about the German instructors, and I don't know if folks have noticed that or not, they pretty much all do 10-minute post-ride stretches. And I just don't feel that 5 minutes is enough. So sometimes what I'll sometimes do is I'll repeat a 5-minute stretch. I really like to do a 10-minute stretch after, I've done a hard workout. But a lot of the German instructors have 10-minute post-ride stretches. So really liked that. So those are my picks.
Cool. Well,
let's hear from you.
I'll kick mine off with on the tread. So a 30-minute 80s walk with Maddie Majacomo from Friday the 7th. And Maddie's been doing walks every Fridays the last, since the recent schedule change. But I really like the change up now. And the walks, a lot of times he does a listening game, which is always fun. But this one was just a fun 80s playlist. Madonna, Aha, DeBarge, he played Rhythm of the Night, which I always love to hear in any class, regardless of what it is. REO Speedwagon, super fun walk. So if you want to, take it easy, something more low impact, this one's a lot of fun. And then switching to the bike, I usually try not to double dip and go with the same instructor with a class 2 weeks in a row, but I have to. This one is very noteworthy. Cody's 30-minute pop ride from Tuesday the 11th. It is, as he describes it, it's an all-ho anthem playlist, which he found on Spotify. Just the comedy, the bits of comedy gold are just throughout the entire ride, but it's a lot of fun. I've already posted a couple clips from it on my TikTok, which have blown up pretty good from the moments I've posted, but definitely check that one out. It's a lot of fun. And Kendall's 45-minute classic rock ride from Thursday morning, the 13th. She pretty much went with all music from the 60s, but a song I hadn't heard, I don't think on the Peloton platform, was Iron Butterflies in Agata Davida, which she opened up the ride with, and then she had it was very sort of Cali inspired. So there was some music from the Doors, the Beach Boys, Jimi Hendrix, Mamas and the Papas. And then she had some Beatles in there, and a couple other tunes, and it wasn't, she even, said at the start and in the pre-show, it wasn't meant to just be one of her typical, back-breaking, grueling workouts. It was more of just a vibe. It was meant to, be fun. She said, she's kind of tired out from the week of, the other stuff that she's taught, but a super fun playlist, and it went by really quick. And then a little strength, Bootcamp, back to the tread, Rebecca Kennedy's 30-minute 90s pop tread Bootcamp was really good. A good mix of 90s, Alanis, Little Savage Garden, Offspring, Spice Girls. She played Stop.
Oh, wow.
By Spice Girls, which is my favorite Spice Girls song.
Yeah.
And she was talking about Ginger. Ginger's her favorite Spice Girls. She's the only one her name is based on a real spice.
Oh, too funny.
And then I didn't really either. It's kind of funny. A deep thought from Rebecca,
right? And
then she closed it out with a Sophie B. Hawkins song, which was perfect for the cool down end of the class. But it was a pretty workout heavy week on the platform. There's plenty of other stuff I could have thrown in there, but overall a good week on the bike and the tread.
That's awesome! Wow, you definitely got a good lot in there. I got it. Yeah, I gotta up my strength game. We'll get there. As I said, I hit 200.
I gotta dive in with the Andy strength stuff, because I'm always shouting him out, but I don't feel like I take advantage of enough of his
of how much
his
he has
force
on
stuff.
Yeah. Definitely have to work on that.
I love to promote him, and I love Andy, but I gotta dive in there more.
All right, that goal. Come on, John. We got to set each other. We got to, kind of make each other accountable here.
I know.
And then I wanted to share actually, so one of our very loyal viewers and listeners, Zag's fangirl, Nicole, had said that she just saw on the platform and did a 20-minute HIIT cardio with Ben. So I guess Ben is is adding cardio to his to the platform,
his strength.
And to his strength. And she said that it was absolutely amazing, and it was definitely her pick of the week. So I wanted to give Zag's fangirl a shout out and let Nicole know that we're putting it in there. So if any of you were unaware that that Ben was doing cardio, HIIT cardio, he's doing it. So really, really awesome. So thanks for that tip, because I did not know that. And I think that is pretty much it.
That wraps it up.
I think that wraps it up. Well, what I thought was going to be a pretty quick episode, you and I definitely seem to find a way to lengthen these. But
there's a lot of stuff to chat about in Instructors in the News. So
there were a lot of Instructor in the News stuff. So absolutely. Well, folks, again, hope you got what you needed out of the show. Don't forget to, as we said at the beginning of the show, to share those reviews, or if you have any suggestions you want to share with us. But thanks for taking the time to watch, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. And from me here down in Florida, bye for now, everybody.
And for me in Michigan, always appreciate you tuning in. And as always, we will see you on the leaderboard.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag, and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.